Hi everyone, Dr. Tran here from Color Chiropractic in Bellingham, Washington. I do these types of interviews every once in a while. I don't know if I'll go with monthly as much, but I thought I'd tune in to some different people that I've gotten to know in the community and learning from some of their ideas and concepts too. As you guys have been that have been with us in the YouTube channel, I've often done different interviews and different trainings around the martial arts. And I had the privilege of actually asking my teacher, Shayne Simpson, who you see on the screen there, to see if he would do an interview with me because he's been so instrumental in a lot of what I've learned in terms of self-defense, but also in terms of injury prevention. And there's quite a history there that I think that it might be make for an interesting interview. So, Shayne, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, let's start off this way, Shayne. Tell us a little bit about how you started, about your journey into the martial arts, and how did it lead towards your relationship with one of our teachers, one of our master teachers, Skip Hancock?
Sure. Well, I started the martial arts when I was about 4 or 5 years old, but it was just simply my uncles were black belts, and they just started teaching me. I wasn't taking any formal classes. They would teach me things, and I'd practice what they taught me over and over. And I don't know what it was, but something just became addictive to me. I just was addicted to the martial arts. And growing up in Alaska, it wasn't always available to me, but the
Mm,
lessons that they gave me, I did. Once I left Alaska and I went to college, I saw that there was a martial art course called Kempo for PE. It was the first
mm,
class I signed up for, and I started. That's where I started kind of my journey in Kempo, is with that right there. I was looking for an instructor that kind of fit what I was looking for because I didn't want a lot of times the martial arts teaches just a very like surface level. And in
mm,
my mind, there was something so much deeper, and I needed to find an instructor that was deeper.
mm,
And I was really close to going with some very, very good instructors, like this close. And I happened to be at a seminar of another style, another guy who does knockout stuff, and there was a martial artist there with a Kempo patch. His name was Scott Marker, and him and me just started talking. And then he started moving. And I said, "Hey, wait a second. Is Ed Parker your instructor?" The reason
mm,
why I asked him that is I had gotten on to that people who had studied under the senior grandmaster Ed Parker moved a certain way. And then their students moved differently. It's
mm,
like there was these two different levels.
mm,
And the Scott Marker was moving the way that Ed Parker had taught people that I had seen. And so
mhm,
I was intrigued. And he goes, "No, no, I'm a student of Skip Hancock's."
mm,
And so he had invited me to go up and meet Skip Hancock. And I had to go meet this guy who could make people move the way that Ed Parker made people move.
mm,
And so I just remember that first time I got to Skip Hancock, I went to one of his gatherings. And this was 1993, 94, somewhere around
mm,
in there.
mhm,
And so I go in and I see this guy, and I'd read about Skip. I knew about Skip. He was prefaced in Ed Parker's books. He had these gatherings I'd seen. Ed Parker, Skip Hancock was kind of this legend out there in the martial art world and the Kempo world of someone who was close to Ed Parker and was very knowledgeable. So I kind of had this little bit of an idea of who he was. So I go in there and I'm getting ready to meet this grandmaster. And there's a guy in pinstripe overalls, one flap undone. He walks up and says, "Are you Shayne Simpson?" I said, "Yeah." And he gives me a hug.
mm.
Completely killed my illusions of a master. And that started my journey with Skip.
That's actually the first time I met him. He must have been wearing the same pair of overalls because I saw that too. The way that we've been trained through Mr. Hancock's evolution of Ed Parker's work, I would say, is very much in ways that help to heal the body. That's what was that there were these sets of principles that could be utilized not only in the martial arts, but in the world of everyday living, where when we're moving, we can move in ways that prevent injury and they're actually even more effective. So the thing that I've been doing with these videos is we've been running over something called the principles of motion. And I'd like you to kind of go give your rendition of what that is all about. And can you kind of explain that and how, you've applied it to the martial arts, but even more so about preventing injuries and making things more efficient in movement.
Yes, definitely. One of the things I caught on with Skip Hancock is a lot of people are teaching techniques, self-defense ideas, right?
Hmm.
And Skip approached with Ed Parker uh, a different perspective than the old timers did. The old timers had a block, they had a punch, and that's what they did. And a lot of them would injure themselves within that training because they were only focused on stopping that punch,
Hmm.
striking that guy.
Hmm.
And Skip was actually a person who was studying motion and then applying that motion to the block. Instead of just blocking, there was a motion. And Skip Hancock once said something to me. He said, look at an Olympic athlete, look at the way they move, the way they talk, the way they stand. You can tell. You can tell they're an elite athlete. You see
Hmm.
them walking down the street. You can say, that's an elite athlete. You can
Hmm.
see the way they move, the way they walk, the way they run. They run like an elite athlete. He says, watch a marathon runner. Watch the person who comes in first. They're gliding in, and they're the fastest. And then
Hmm.
the guy who's comes in last is usually, and not moving, not gliding.
Hmm.
And so it's motion that creates that elite athlete.
Hmm.
Okay. And so what Skip has done is he's been able to, with Ed Parker, I can't just give
Yeah.
Skip, but as them working together, it he created principles of motion to help a person learn how to become a natural athlete. And so the principles of motion are a way to improve your ability to move in a more professional, elite way.
Hmm. Okay. And by that, being professional and elite means maximizing the tools that you've been given.
They've got to really learn how to move in a way that protects themselves.
Hmm.
And so not only do they have to move more efficiently to be better, they have to move in such a way that they're not injuring and hurting their body.
Hmm. Right.
So it's kind of a double thing. The more you use principles of motion, the more efficient and better you will be at what you do. But you'll also have less injuries. And
Right.
so the better you get at movement, the less injuries you have.
So, yeah. On the one hand, there's things that everybody can apply. But then there's on the other hand, there's a shift of what we do in our art here is customize the art to ourselves, because there's just as much of an individuality as there is a universality to these principles too. Everyone learns differently. Everyone moves differently in relation to what their body type is, what their abilities are. So I'd like you to go into the idea of customized learning, how it's practiced there and how you can practice it in your own life.
Right? Yes. So you have principles of motion, but you also have your perceptual fitness or your stream of who you are. So, you have your dominant eye, which means whether you scan this way or this way. And knowing that, you get to know, that everything, like for me, I'm right eye dominant and I see it, I scan this way. You're left eye dominant. So
Hmm.
you and me as a team would complement each other.
Hmm.
Okay. But I know that every time my eye goes here, this over here becomes my blind spot.
Hmm.
And so I can learn how to look and see to see things better. Hearing, I can learn how to turn my head or make sure that I have my dominant ear listening so that I actually understand what's being told. Okay. Now, someone like me, um, I deal with dyslexia. So I'll turn things around. Okay. So me being able to hear to understand becomes even more important
Hmm.
because if I read something, I'll turn my mind is spending so much time turning around, I don't always comprehend as well. But hearing is very important to me. Now, I didn't know that I might be listening to here, and now I'm double handicapped. I
Mm.
don't read as well, and I'm not understanding, but because I know how to use my dominant ear. Okay. Uh, right brain, left brain, you know, am I a right brain? Do I see the, do I live in the now, or my left brain? Am I always planning for the future? Okay. Skill based, challenge based. Am I, am I afraid to take a challenge until I have the skill to meet the need? Or am I challenge based, and do I give up easily if I can't do it and I don't have the skill? Okay. So a skill based person needs to learn to accept challenges, and a challenge based person needs to learn to get the skill that they don't have. So if I know who I am, I can say, hey, you know what? I'm running away from this challenge that I really need to do because I don't feel like I have that skill. And that's not what the challenge is about. The challenge is to find out if I have the skill. Or I this challenge based person who never seems to accomplish anything because I'm not willing to put in the effort to get the skill. If it's not easy, I just move on. Left leg, right leg dominant. Big thing, A lot of people, like they ride skateboard or they'll ride snowboard or whatever. And because their right eye or right arm, they think they're right legged. That's not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
And so how they ride their boards and everything will make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I have this belief that you're going to, if you have your, like, let's say kicking a soccer ball, if I have my dominant leg on the ground and I kick with my dominant non-dominant leg, I can kick further down the field because I have my base, my strong there. But if I kick with my dominant leg, I can thread the ball better. I have better control.
Mm.
So I can use my dominant leg so we can just keep going on and on and on about
Yeah,
the dominant
for sure.
factors, but they have a huge effect in your ability in life to succeed better or to
Yeah.
accomplish more if you take the time to understand them and learn.
I don't know whether you'd like to talk about how chiropractic and martial arts kind of melds together in terms of people's health related issues.
Well, yeah, I can. There's two things that I wanted to bring up. So whenever I get injured or start to feel pain, I simply go to, how am I moving wrong? I'm doing something not correctly.
Mm.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have that pain.
Mm.
So that's the first thing is, so, if you have a chiropractor that understands principles of motion and how to move correctly, what's your easy motion barrier?
Hmm.
That there's huge. There's
Right.
so many people that have bad shoulders just because they don't understand easy motion barrier, things like that there. But, posture, it's interesting. I just sent, I know a kid that just went through a lot of hell in his life and had a nervous breakdown. And then all of a sudden now I see a picture of him and his chin is up, his chest is up, his posture looks good. I'm like, you can see that he's healed. You can
Mm.
see that he's overcome stuff just because of his posture principle of motion.
Oh,
Um, so there's that. The other thing though is, how do I say this correctly? Not all chiropractors are going to be the same. You study the principles of motion. So now you can come back and look and say, hey, this is your injury. What caused that injury? What principle of motion did you do to hurt that injury? And then you can actually use that to heal that. And it's kind of funny for me because I'm your instructor. And then I go in to see you and you're telling me what principle of motion I'm messing up on. And then you're healing me with the lesson that I taught you with. So it comes full circle.
yeah. One thing I'm excited about that I think that, the audience here might want to know is that I'm planning on doing some different workshop at Shayne's studio at Rock Solid Martial Arts to talk more about things like shoulder related issues or like knee related problems, talking about it from a anatomical chiropractic functional perspective, while at the same time also tying in these types of principles together so that it's applied learning, and that it's not just book knowledge, but that it becomes something ingrained that, it really fulfills that statement of moving to be able to heal your body instead of hurt it. So I think that that's a really cool thing that hopefully you guys will see down the road. Is there anything that maybe you'd like to leave our audience with in terms of understanding, maybe even more about your studio, some of the things that you apply, or about, some of the things that we've discussed here?
Yeah, I do. But I want to maybe not really tie it to my studio, tie it to truth is truth. And if there's a certain way to have posture, a certain way to have balance, a certain way to have relaxation, it's going to go into all areas of life. And one of the biggest lessons that hit me was I had this young boy come in, and his dream, his love, his passion was baseball, but he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't very good. Matter of fact, he would sit on the bench a lot. And he got in and he started training with me, and he was good. He was really good. He was competing, he would win. He was doing really great. He got his junior black belt, started working towards his adult black belt, and then he quit. And
Mm-hmm.
my heart broke. My heart broke. And I was talking to Skip, and he goes, well, why did he quit? And I said, well, because he got put on the first string baseball team. And this is a baseball team that won state and went to nationals and it did extremely well there. The Skip goes, well, so he's living his dream. So why are you upset?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, he's not training the martial arts. He goes, no, he came to the martial arts to get what he needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was able to go live his dream. And then I realized, some people are with me for a short time, some people are with me for a while, and some people are with me for a lifetime. As long as they get what they came for and need, that's what's important. And what I learned for this young boy, he came and got what he needed, and he was able to have a wonderful, teenage years playing baseball because he got what he needed, which was these principles of motion. Okay. Other people might always be injured.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they need to learn how to have a better quality of life. So they come and learn the principles of motion and they become stronger. I'm sitting here in my mind, I can picture 3 or 4 people who their bodies and their lifestyle was not healthy when they came to me. And now they're walking differently. They look differently. They have a completely different, their life has been completely changed, not in just self-defense, but overall quality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's really cool. That's why you, as a chiropractor, can take what's being learned here and apply it to a chiropractor and actually be a lot higher level chiropractor, because when I talk to your patients, they
Mm-hmm.
rave about you,
Mm-hmm.
and what you do for them and how you've helped them. And I just got done talking to one that, was talking about how many chiropractors she'd been to until she found you.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't find you through me. We just
Mm-hmm.
happened to, it just happened to be a coincidence. And, and it's, I believe it's your ability to take the logic, which is just logic, and apply it to what you do.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And so that's what I think these seminars can do is not just teach people self-defense. It's more about how can you use it in all areas of their
Hi,
lives.
everyone. If you like what you saw, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, feel free to share, and subscribe to our YouTube station. If you have any questions or suggestions, we appreciate it. Just email us at info@colorchiropractic.com. And if you want to know more about our practice, go to colorchiropractic.com. We are Color Chiropractic, where healing is achieved through personalized care and collaboration.